Hello, hello, hello. My name is Kyle Van Vouris with Vouris.com, and today I'm going to share with you how to overcome brush-offs on cold calls. What's a brush-off, you ask? Let's dive right in. Brush-offs are things at the very beginning of the cold call that prospects will say to you that is designed to get you off of the phone. That's all it is. These are things like not interested. Hey, can you send me an email? Which is my favorite one. And if you stay to the end, I'll give you a guaranteed way to overcome that brush-off. And other things like this, right? So those are the types of things that people say to get you off of the phones. They're not real objections. We don't have to treat them the same way because they actually don't know what we do. I'm going to teach you in this video how to overcome those and give you some scripts and also a framework that you can use to create your own. All right, there's three common brush-offs. The first one, I'm not interested. The second would be I'm too busy. And the third one is send me an email. You probably get these, or your team probably gets these all the time. So how do we overcome them? Well, it's pretty simple. I use a framework. It's an old framework I learned when I was an SDR called the AAA: acknowledge, answer, and ask. So acknowledge what the prospect said to you. Answer their underlying concern. And then ask a question to regain control of the conversation. One thing I want to add here before we go into some example scripts to overcome brush-offs is you want to jump on these really quick. If you leave a big delay after somebody has said a brush-off, they're more likely to actually hang up on you. But if you can cut them off right at the end, don't interrupt them, but right at the end, if you can jump on the brush-off, you have a lot higher of a chance of overcoming them. So let's get into some examples here. So if someone says, I'm not interested, or I'm too busy, let's use the AAA to overcome that. I'm not interested. I hear you. The last thing I want to do here is waste your time. We help early stage startup companies build a repeatable sales process. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions and let you decide if we should have a conversation? All right, so let's break that down. The acknowledge, I hear you. You're showing them that you actually listened and you're not just saying, why aren't you interested, or something combative like that. You're giving them relief that you actually heard what they said to you and you're going to respect what they said. So you say, I hear you. The next part is the answer. Now, what's the underlying concern here? That you're going to waste their time. So we say, I called you out of the blue, and the last thing I want to do is waste your time. Then the next part is ask. This is where you ask a question to regain control of the conversation. In this case, we're using a permission-based question here, a permission-based opener, assuming you haven't already said something like this before. If you get the brush off after you've used a permission-based opener, then what you're going to want to do is actually change this to the path. And if you need help around building your cold call script, we have a really good video for that. And at the end of the video, I'll attach a link to it. So for the ask, we say, we help early stage startups build a repeatable sales process. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions and let you decide if we should chat? Now, I can tell you, this isn't going to work all of the time, but cold calling is about fighting for percentage points. And if you can execute this really well, then you will have more people who let you have a conversation than you did before. Alrighty, as promised, I told you I was going to tell you how to overcome the send me an email brush off. This is by far my favorite brush off because it's the easiest to overcome. And here's how you do it. Why don't you send me an email? Sure, I'm happy to send you an email right now. What's the best email for you? All right, so I'm going to send you something over, but before I do, I want to make sure that whatever I send you is going to be relevant. Give me an idea here. Are you more focused on building a repeatable sales process or improving your current sales efforts? All right, so clearly we've used the acknowledge, answer, ask, right? We acknowledge, yeah, sure, we'll send you an email. We've answered their underlying concern, which is this might not be relevant for them, right? They don't want to waste a bunch of time talking to us if it's something they don't even care about. So we're saying, I want to make sure it's relevant, which they also want to make sure it's relevant, which is why they're asking for an email. They're trying to blow you off. When they get the email, they may take a couple seconds to look at it to see if it's relevant. And then you ask a question to regain control of the conversation. And why this is so powerful is because they asked you for an email. So when they asked for an email, what you're doing is you're saying, I would like to follow through with the request you just made to me, but I need a little bit more information. Once they've answered your questions and you've opened up your dialogue with the prospect, you forget that they ever asked for an email. Have a normal conversation and try to book a meeting just like you normally would. And that's it. That's a framework you can use to overcome any brush off that comes your way. I recommend writing responses to the common ones and then practicing them. And if you want to get my eyes on it, you can comment below with the brush off and how you plan to overcome it, and I'll give you some feedback. And if you want to see exactly how to write a cold call script, make sure to check out this video here. It's going to break down every section of a cold call script for you so you can write your own.